Spiritual awakening isn't about feeling blissful or floating through life in perfect peace. In fact, it usually feels like your entire world is falling apart. If you've been questioning everything, your beliefs, your purpose, even who you really are, you're not lost. You might actually be waking up. But here's what most people don't realize. Awakening doesn't happen all at once. It unfolds in stages. And depending on where you are in the process, it can feel wildly different, from complete chaos to a deep, unshakable peace. So, which stage are you in? By the end of this video, you'll not only know exactly where you are on your spiritual path, but you'll also see what's coming next and why most people never make it to the final stage. Let's dive in. Stage 1. The shattering, the call to wake up. You know that moment when life suddenly feels hollow? When the job, the relationships, the routines, all the things you thought would make you happy just don't? That's stage 1, the shattering. It usually doesn't come quietly. For many, it's triggered by something big, a breakup, a loss, a total life crisis. But for others, it sneaks in slowly, like a quiet whisper that keeps asking, is this really all there is? Signs you're in stage 1. You feel an emptiness you can't explain, like life has lost its meaning. Everyday routines suddenly feel unbearable or pointless. You start asking big questions like, why am I here? Or, what's the point of all this? Often triggered by a major life event, a breakup, a loss, or a sudden shift that forces you to pause. It feels like the ground beneath you has disappeared. But this isn't the end, it's the beginning. At this stage, you start questioning everything. Your beliefs, your identity, even reality itself. It can feel terrifying, like the ground beneath you is gone. But this is the first crack in the illusion, the beginning of waking up. And if you're here right now, you probably feel like your whole life is coming apart. But trust me, it's not the end, it's the beginning. But that's just the start, because once everything shatters, what comes next might shake you even more. Stage 2. The chaos, dark night of the soul. If stage 1 felt unsettling, stage 2 feels like being thrown into the middle of a storm with no compass. This is what many call the dark night of the soul, and it's as intense as it sounds. This is where everything you thought you knew about yourself starts crumbling. Your job feels meaningless. Your relationships suddenly strained or out of alignment. Even your identity, the very idea of who you are, starts to dissolve. Signs you're in stage 2. You feel lost, disconnected, or like you don't recognize yourself anymore. Old beliefs collapse, and you can't go back to who you used to be. Your emotions swing wildly. Sadness, anger, numbness, sometimes all in one day. Relationships feel strained. You might even start withdrawing from others. It feels endless, but this stage is necessary. The old you is falling apart, so the real you can emerge. It's disorienting. You might find yourself questioning, who am I? Without all the labels I've carried, without the roles I've been playing. For some, this stage comes with emotional extremes, sadness, frustration, even bursts of anger that seem to come out of nowhere. Others describe it as a numbness, like being disconnected from everything, floating between two worlds, the old life that no longer fits, and the new one that hasn't fully taken shape. And here's the hardest part. This stage can feel endless. Many people think they're failing spiritually because they don't feel peaceful or enlightened, but that couldn't be further from the truth. This isn't failure, it's the breakdown that has to happen before the breakthrough. Because in this chaos, the old version of you is dying off, and that's exactly what makes space for who you're becoming. So, if you're here, don't give up. The storm has a purpose, and somewhere in that darkness, a spark is about to ignite. And when it does, everything changes. Stage 3. The breakthrough, expansion. Then, out of nowhere, it happens. After what feels like an eternity in the dark, a spark ignites, and suddenly, everything looks different. This is stage 3, the breakthrough. It can happen anywhere. Some people experience it in meditation or prayer. Others are just sitting at a red light or washing dishes when a sudden, overwhelming sense of clarity washes over them. And it's strange. It feels like you've known these truths all along, but now you finally see them clearly for the first time. Your perspective shifts. Signs you're in stage 3. You experience moments of deep peace or joy out of nowhere. You notice synchronicities, repeating numbers, perfect coincidences, dreams that feel meaningful. You feel more connected to people, nature, and something bigger than yourself. Life feels guided, like you're finally seeing the bigger picture.
It's euphoric, but it doesn't last forever. This is just a glimpse of what's possible. You start to notice synchronicities, those little coincidences that feel too perfect to be random. The right book shows up when you're asking deep questions. You overhear a stranger saying exactly what you needed to hear. You keep seeing repeating numbers, meaningful symbols, or having dreams that seem to guide you. It's like the universe is leaving breadcrumbs, pushing you forward. And emotionally, it's like night and day compared to the chaos of stage 2. You might feel bursts of joy, gratitude, or deep peace that can't be explained. Some describe it as waking up in a dream you didn't know you were having. But here's what most people don't realize. This stage is intoxicating and temporary, because that rush of spiritual insight isn't meant to last forever. It's meant to give you a glimpse, a taste of what's possible, so you have the strength to move forward. And soon the real work begins, learning how to live with what you've discovered.
Stage 4. The integration, living between worlds. If stage 3 felt like a burst of spiritual fireworks, stage 4 is where the real grounded work begins. This is integration, the process of taking all those insights and actually living them. And here's the truth. This stage can be the most challenging of them all. Why? Because you're no longer who you were before, but you're also not fully anchored in this new version of yourself. It's like standing with one foot in two different worlds. You've had the awakening, but now you need to bring it down to earth. This is where people often struggle the most. You might start to notice friction in your relationships. Friends or family may not understand your new perspective, and some may even pull away. Old environments, your job, your routines, your social circle might feel like they no longer fit, but stepping away from them can feel terrifying.
Signs you're in stage 4. You struggle to balance your new insights with your old life. Old habits and patterns creep back, testing your growth. Friends and family may not get the changes in you, leading to tension or distance. You feel caught between two worlds, the old you and the new you. Integration takes patience. It's about applying everything you've learned, even when life pulls you back into old ways. You also start facing the patterns that held you back in the first place. Those habits, fears, or emotional wounds you thought you left behind, they resurface. Not to drag you down, but to test how much you've really grown. Integration isn't about avoiding these challenges. It's about meeting them with a new awareness. And yet, it's not all struggle. This stage brings something incredibly powerful, the ability to balance. You start learning how to take those big spiritual insights from stage 3 and apply them to the real world. Your work, your relationships, your health, your purpose. It's no longer about escaping life to feel spiritual. It's about bringing spirituality into everything you do. But make no mistake, this takes time. Integration is a process of trial and error. Some days, you'll feel deeply aligned, like you're finally living your truth. Other days, you'll slip back into old ways of thinking or reacting. And that's okay. Every stumble is part of the growth. The key is to stay committed, to keep showing up for yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. Because if you do, something incredible happens. You begin to embody this new awareness, not just as an idea, but as a way of being. And that leads us to the final stage, the place where awakening stops being a concept and becomes who you are. Stage 5, the embodiment, oneness. This is it, the final stage, the place so many people chase but so few truly reach.
Stage 5 is embodiment. If Stage 4 was about learning to balance your awakening with real life, this is where that balance transforms into harmony. You're no longer swinging between your old self and your new self. You've stopped trying to figure out who you are because you're living it. This is what real spiritual maturity looks like. Signs you're in Stage 5. You live with deep trust and peace, even when life gets messy. You feel grounded yet deeply connected to something bigger than yourself. You no longer try to be spiritual, you just are. Your purpose feels clearer, and your actions align with it naturally.
Life isn't perfect, but you no longer need it to be. You've stopped searching because you've finally come home to yourself. In this stage, spirituality stops being something you practice and becomes something you are. You don't need to try to feel connected anymore. You simply wake up each day knowing you're part of something bigger, and you move through life with a deep sense of trust. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean life suddenly becomes perfect. There are still challenges, heartbreaks, and moments of pain. The difference is, you don't get lost in them. You see them as part of a much larger story. You respond instead of react. You let go instead of clinging.
Your relationships change too, and so do you. You start showing up for people with more compassion, more patience, more presence. You're no longer driven by fear, ego, or the need to control everything, and people notice. They may not fully understand what shifted in you, but they feel it. It's also in this stage that many people discover their deeper purpose, not in a grand, world-changing sense, though for some that happens too, but in the simple way they live. You realize the purpose isn't always about what you do, it's about who you are while doing it.
All those questions that haunted you in Stage 1, they either fall away or transform into curiosity instead of desperation. You stop needing all the answers. You start trusting the mystery. This is why embodiment is so rare. It's not about escaping the world or living in a constant state of bliss. It's about being fully human and fully present while knowing you're also something far greater. And maybe you're wondering, will I ever get there? That's the question. Most people don't. Not because they can't, but because they give up in the harder stages. So the real question isn't which stage are you in, it's are you willing to keep going? Because the truth is, most people turn back when it gets hard. They stop in the chaos. They settle after the first breakthrough. But the ones who reach embodiment, they're the ones who keep walking no matter what. So, where are you on this path? Are you just beginning, stuck in the chaos, or are you somewhere in between, piecing it all together? Drop your stage in the comments. I want to hear where you are in your journey. And if this video opens something up for you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear this today. Your journey isn't over yet. In fact, it might be just the beginning.